in the south side of Brooklyn, which is called Williamsburg. That's where she's from. I'm from Williamsburg. I'm actually from a big drug dealer. So I got introduced to cocaine, and unfortunately, it took a hold of me, and I was getting involved with it very heavily. And I started just getting really involved with it, and by the grace of God, that I'm here. But the thing is that through all of that, I kind of knew God in a way, like, but not a relationship with God. So I kind of feared God, and I knew that if one day I died in my sins, I was going to go to hell. So it wasn't nothing new, but nothing really attracted Jesus Christ into my life. The only thing that was attracted to my life was really drugs. Unfortunately, it was cocaine. And definitely took a hold of me. I would take it at work. I was a butcher. I'd be cutting meat, and then I'd go in the bathroom, store some coke, and then boom, I'd be awake. And oh my goodness, that was my life. And unfortunately, my wife, I don't think she really knew much what I was doing behind the back, but she knew that I was hanging out with her cousin, which was my best friend, the drug dealer. So so definitely I got exposed to that. But then I just started getting heavily involved with it, more involved with it, and it took control of my life. And if it wasn't for the grace of God coming into my life, I definitely wouldn't be here. I had one son before I had my other kids. My other kids, I have 5 kids. My other 4 kids were born when I was saved. But if it wasn't for God coming in my life, I wouldn't have none of my kids here. I know that for a fact. My cousins that were big drug dealers, they're dead now. A lot of my friends are dead. Looking at my wife's side of the family, they all, unfortunately, either they have a miserable life, they look horrible. That's what I thank God for my health. But 27 years ago, like that song that the sister was singing, that he came and he fixed a broken life. And my life was definitely broken, and I thought cocaine was going to fix it. But December 24th, 27 years ago, my only brother that I had, I remember the last word that I told him. And he was getting involved with drugs, and me being a big brother, I should have looked over him over that, but I never did. And I remember his last word. He looked at me and he said, "I got something special for you for the next day, which was going to be Christmas." I said, "All right," I didn't think none of it. I go home. A few hours later, I get a phone call that my brother got shot. And my mother comes, go pick up my mother. My mother's crying. I'm crying. All of a sudden, we're praying. We never see God, but all of a sudden, now we're praying. We didn't know what we were praying. We were just saying, "God, just do a miracle." And just to make a long story short, fortunately, my brother passed away on Christmas Day. But that Christmas Day, I happened to have an aunt that came over. She was a Christian, and she witnessed Christ. And I heard those words, and those words were like, and I was still high in crack and cocaine. I was still high in that. And I remember hearing that, and I said, "Well, you know what, God, if you're for real, then make a change in my life." Just like that song that was sung, "Fix This Broken Life." My life was broken. And I remember when, after she preached the gospel, and I said, "You know what, if you're for real, make a change." I gave my life to God, and I remember I was on my knees, and when I stood up, I felt a joy that I never felt before. Even crack cocaine could not. It was unspeakable, and I had so much joy, and I just couldn't believe what God did in my life. And then about half an hour later, I get a phone call that my brother passed away because he was brain dead, but then he passed away. That's about half an hour after I got saved, and I remember I couldn't cry. I couldn't cry because God came into my life and made me change, and that's the best joy that I've had in my life. And God just made a total change in my life. If it wasn't for God coming in my life, I definitely wouldn't have been in my life. I was abusive to her, and I definitely wouldn't have done my kids. And I'm blessed, and immensely I'm blessed. I'm blessed that He came and made a change. And not only my life, but also my mother's life too. She was a big alcoholic, and she lived a promiscuous life, and she's still saved. And just to let you know, when I was high with cocaine, when I gave my life to God, He told me to change. It wasn't a construction. like, okay, I'm gonna stop slowly, take nicotine and you try to stop. I mean, literally I stopped. From that day on, never took crack or cocaine again in my life. And that was a lie because I was buying crack and cocaine after I got clean. So before I had to pay for it, but now I started giving it for free. But God made a change, and I thank God for that. And that's why I'm definitely thankful for what He did in my life, and you guys, my family, and my dear wife and my kids, who I love a lot. And again, if it wasn't for Jesus, none of you guys would have been here. So I thank God for what He's done, and what He has done for you. You know, just to say you don't have to be involved with drugs. I mean, a sin is a sin. You know, and when He put those nails, and they put those nails on the cross, it wasn't just only for drug addicts, but it was for sinners. And we all consider sinners, but thank God for His grace and His mercy. And I'm blessed. Thank you, brother.
Amen.